everyone, Squee here, and welcome to another edition of Thoughts Behind the Wheel. It is Friday, June 24th. I'm like 80% sure that's the date. Look, it's morning. I just woke up. Leave me alone. So I may not know what day or month it is. That's fine. That's completely normal. Hi, how's it going? How's not school? Unless you're in school because you were a naughty boy or girl and you have to go to summer school. Tisk, tisk. And for those of you in college, they'll all be like, but Squee, I chose to go to summer school. Shut up! No one chooses to go to summer school. We all know the truth. That's such a horrible lie. Lots of people choose to go to summer school. I did. Yeah. College sucks when you don't get vacation. It sucks. Anyway, where was I? There were two questions that I did not get to answer last time. I'm going to answer them really quickly, and I'm sorry I don't remember your names because I just kind of memorized the questions. But the first question was, what is the Arena playlist and is that discontinued? And the answer is, I wouldn't say it's discontinued. Arena is, well, I suppose it's a book that I was trying to write. And I only say was because I haven't done it in some time because I haven't had time to, and now I'm considering writing something different, something, in my opinion, better. Not that Arena wasn't good. I love Arena, but when I say better, I think what I mean is something that is better suited for a book. Arena was my perfect anime. If I had the ability to write a cool shonen anime, this is what I would write. Because there are lots of things I think that my favorite genre of anime, shonen, gets so horribly wrong. Like, leaving support characters behind because it's all about the main character and screw all the supporting cast. They got nothing on the main character. Yes, the main character should have, the coolest power and they should have the coolest fights and, they should be the one to take on the biggest fights in the series. Yeah, absolutely. They're the hero. But there's no reason why you can't have really cool supporting characters that are just as or almost as powerful. There's no reason to have to leave people in the dirt. I'm looking at you, Chad Ninoue. Seriously. What was the guy who made Bleach thinking? I just never understood that concept of like, oh man, Ichigo is he's so cool. He's so strong, and these captains that you know nothing about them. Woo! Look how awesome they are. What? His friends? The ones that have been with him through the whole series? What about? Oh, you want him to do stuff? Oh, hey, look at these captains. Oh, they're so cool. Yeah, I never understood that. I'm just like, at that point, I'm like, why are you even in this anime? Why are you here? I never liked that. I never liked that romance in anime is always like Stockholm Syndrome, in the sense that I'm quite convinced they literally hate each other and they only think they love each other because they've hated each other for so long. I mean, like, you all know what I'm talking about. Every time they're with each other, they're pissed off and angry and yelling at each other and pretending that there's nothing more important in the world than pretending I don't like this person. And then there's one brief moment of their feelings for each other. At the climax, when things are really important and they're both about to die, then they confess their feelings. And then the second they've won, the climax is over and the danger is past, it's back to, I'm yelling at you, you numbskull. Who's in a relationship like that? Not healthy people, that's for sure. That's one thing I really give Naruto props for, is the whole Hinata and Naruto thing. I mean, yeah, he's an absolute dunce for not seeing it, episode 1. But that relationship was not a stereotypical anime relationship. I really enjoyed it. You know what else? What other anime had a great relationship? I know people will hate me for saying this because a lot of people hate this anime. But Sword Art Online. Yep. Sword Art Online has an awesome relationship between the hero and the two heroes, the two protagonists. And I don't think that anime needs necessarily a romance, but if you're gonna have one, come on. I guess people like the drama and the tension. Oh, will they get together? But I don't watch soap operas for a reason, and I hate that they're in my anime. But yeah, anyway, I got sidetracked. I spent way more time on that than I expected to. So basically there were serious issues I always had with shonen anime. Another one is that the main hero is always like uber powerful naturally. Like they have some natural hidden talent that makes them just super powerful. Like Ichigo just has oodles and oodles of spirit energy. He's like a tap that you just can't shut off. And for most of the anime, it's not that he's skilled, it's that he has blunt force. And of course, at the end, sure, he gets skilled and has blunt force, and that's what makes him so powerful. But for 90% of it, he doesn't have anywhere near the skill as the people he's fighting. He can just power his way through things. Naruto was another great example of that. For 90% of the anime, he's nowhere near as good a fighter as everyone else in the series. But man, he's got that nine-tail chakra. Woo, that's sexy. Again, I do give Naruto a lot of credit. See, I don't know, a lot of people hate on Naruto, and I get some of the criticism, like, the powers got so ridiculous and over the top, and the filler was annoying, and yes, all that's kind of true, but, props to them. Naruto, as time went on, like the last third of the series, and I mean like the whole series, he actually got more and more competent. He stopped being a bumbling idiot. See, most anime, even when they're at their strongest, they're still a bumbling idiot most of the time, and then they just have moments of pure genius when they absolutely need to. Naruto actually became a competent ninja through and through. His hand-to-hand skill got great. His jutsu skills got great. His thought process got great. And his attitude grew very mature. He really did grow from the bumbling, annoying, braggish youth to a intelligent, calm, collected adult who knew what he wanted. That was actually really cool to see. And you don't see that very often. Look at, again, Bleach or One Piece. As much as I love those, Luffy and Ichigo, they never grew up. No, sir. You could probably say Ichigo is always an adult, but he wasn't. But you see what I'm saying. They never turned into competent adults in that sense. So my point is that's kind of a trope with heroes and shonen, is that they have this massive font of potential, and that's what makes them interesting. I always wanted to play around with the other side. You know who I always liked? I liked the people that didn't have a lot of potential but used it extremely well, like Shikamaru or Ishida. And I know I'm probably butchering names. I'm not Japanese, so forgive me. But I like the idea of, I don't have the power batteries that other heroes have. I have very little power, but I'm really good at using it. I like that. I like that concept. So anyway, again, wow, I've now spent even more time on this than I thought I was going to. Deep-seated feelings, I guess, on this matter. I always thought, if I had the ability to write an anime, that's what I would do. That's how I'd do it. I'd have a hero that didn't have lots of power. He had little power but could use it really well. And there'd be a romance in there that was an actual, sweet, loving, I support you and care for you romance. And not that it wouldn't have problems, but 90% of the time they would act like normal humans. Or else, as the case may be. I would love to see an anime where the relationship is a source of strength, not a source of conflict. most anime seem to not understand what that even means. What? They love each other? That must be a point of conflict. Why? Why can't it be a source of strength? Why can't it be them versus the world and, they can go on because they love and support each other? That's cool. That'd be fun to watch. To me, at least. Maybe just to me. I don't know. But anyway, so that was the Arena, and I stopped writing it because I just didn't have time. Writing, if for anyone who's ever tried writing, is a very, very time-consuming process. And it's not like I plan to not finish it. I have such great ideas for it. But when I say that I might start writing something that I feel is better suited, I mean it's better suited for a book. What I was writing in Arena is an anime. And anime, by its very nature, doesn't translate very well to book form. And before I start this, by no means am I an expert writer or a professional writer or anything like that. This is all just what I've kind of gathered through my years and years of reading, writing, and watching media. Books follow a certain form. Anime follows a different form that works for it, but may not necessarily work for a book. Like, for example, most anime has to capture the viewer's attention within 30 minutes. You've got one episode really to capture your audience, because 90% of your audience will watch the first episode, and if it's crap, they won't watch the second episode. That's just how it works. It's not like a book where you buy the entire book and you're more forgiving. You don't mind if it takes an hour or 2 or 3 to really pick up the pace, because you kind of expect it. You're like, hey, this is a 400-page book. It's going to take me 20 hours to read. I understand if they take the first 3 hours or so to do some world building before, things really hit the fan. That's fine. You expect that. Try doing that for an anime. Try it. Oh, wait, they did. It was called Hitman Reborn. And oh boy, was that a tough time. It was called One Piece. You had to wait like 20 episodes before that series got good. And it suffered for it. It really did. How many people have you seen? They're like, oh yeah, I tried to get into One Piece, but I watched like the first 10 episodes. It was so boring. You're like, yeah, I know. Just get to like episode 25. Just come on. Just get there. So anime has to work very differently. Anime has to capture your attention in the first episode. So what anime does a lot is sometimes they'll start in the middle of the story, or more specifically what they'll do is they'll start with a crisis. Take Naruto, for example. Crisis. Guy wants to assassinate Naruto. Naruto can't pass his exam, so he steals a scroll and learns a super cool move, and ends up beating the guy, or Ichigo, his sister's being attacked by a demon, They start with a really cool, oh my god, what the hell, everything's going crazy really fast, and then once they've hooked you, once they've got you, oh my god, Ichigo killed that demon and now he's got this huge ass sword, what the hell? I want to see episode 2, Once they get you hooked, then they'll slow down a little bit and start telling you about the characters. Once they've done this and you're in it, now they'll tell you about Ichigo and his sisters, and this is Rukia, and this is the world, and this is how death gods work, and this is what this power means. They'll slow down and then start telling you about the world. It's a really, really useful tool to use when you are doing an episodic approach to anything. When you're releasing something bit by bit, like you do in anime, you capture the viewer's attention. Holy cow, crazy crap going on. Then you slow down and you start telling them the world. Books can use that approach, and I think it'd be very effective to use in books. But they don't have to, and a lot of times they don't use that approach. Books will often take several hours. They'll start with the world building. They'll tell you, here's your characters, here's his family, here's what he thinks, here's the situation he's in, and then all of a sudden, Trollocs, they're murdering his father. You know what I mean? Like, they go kind of the reverse direction on that, because it's different mediums. I think that the story that I'm thinking of writing now, which is kind of like a space opera thing, would fit better as a book. Now, oddly enough, I think I'd still use the same style of opening as an anime, in the sense that my idea for it would start with an explosive first chapter that's a real attention getter, but not because I think that's the best way to start a book, but because I think that would be the best way to start the particular story I have in mind. Very, very important distinction to make there. I think other stories should and do start a different way because it works best for them. This particular story I'm thinking of writing, I think it just works better to have an explosive first chapter, because I just feel it would be more impactful to introduce things that way. Anyway, the point is, I think it would make a better book because it's a story designed for a book format. So yeah, wow, spent so much more time on that question than I was expecting. So that was a bit of a rant, sorry, and I know some of you have probably heard this rant before, but hey, one of you hasn't, at least. The other question I did not get to answer from someone, I don't remember your name, I'm sorry, was, what are your political thoughts and views? They said, gun rights, LGBT, etc. Well, I'll handle, I guess I'll handle it in the order you asked it. So gun rights, well, I've got kind of a weird view on it, in the sense that, on one hand, I do love guns. I was in the Army for 6 years. It's hard not to. I got expert marksmanship. I was considered for sniper class. That's how good I was at one point. But National Guard didn't need snipers, so I never went to sniper school. But I love shooting. I love the art of it. I love the exhaling and pulling the trigger gently on the exhale, and the little pause before you inhale. And, I love knowing you hit that target right where you wanted to. And all that's really cool. It's really great stuff. On the other hand, I don't think America needs guns. I don't think they need guns. And I know I'm very divisive on this because, I live in America. But, America guns. Yeah. Look at it statistically wise, okay? My wife is from Korea. Korea doesn't have guns. If there is a murder in Korea, if someone is murdered brutally or violently, it is almost always national news. If someone in America is murdered violently, you're lucky if it makes local news. Probably won't. Why? Because it happens way too much for it to ever be on national news. In Korea, it's an event because it's not common. It's not. It's not common. It's hard to murder someone when you don't have guns. That's the simple truth. I don't care what you say. Well, there's still knives. Yeah, there's still knives. And Korea has knives. And guess what? Murders are rare. And don't tell me it's different culture either, because cultures aren't that different. They aren't. Koreans can get just as pissed off and angry as Americans can. I promise you. I know. You look at the murder rate in a country like Korea or England or Japan, and you compare that to America, and a lot of people try and tell me that's like comparing apples to oranges. It absolutely is not. Are America and Japan and Korea and England different? Yes, of course they are, but they're not that different. We're still humans. We still think the same way. We still get angry for the same reasons. We still get jealous for the same reasons. We still have drug dealers and underground mafia, etc., etc., etc. And the truth of the matter is, you look at murder by capita, meaning the percentage of murders per your population, and the murder rate in America is insane compared to those countries. It is ungodly insane. And that is because we have guns. Now, yes, I'm not going to pretend it's quite that simple. I know. It's a very complex thing. And yes, there are other factors that play into it. But if you want to try and sit there and pretend that the fact that every other person and their brother owns a gun doesn't play into that, you're crazy. It's just the truth. We don't need guns. We don't. Everyone's like, the gun laws only hurt the criminals. Only hurt the law-abiding citizens. The criminals still get guns. Almost every single mass shooting that we've had in this country recently that I can think of were committed by people who legally obtained guns. As in, the legal way. They got it from their parents that were able to legally buy a gun, or they were never a criminal before this happened. It's not drug dealing gangsters that are going up and shooting elementary schools. In fact, as weird as it sounds, most drug dealing gangsters aren't that cruel. They'll kill, their competition, but they generally don't go gun down little kids. Anyway, I do have some deep-seated feelings on this. I think that if I could just pluck every gun out of American hands, I would, because I think it would save so many lives in the long run. But that said, I'm also a realist on the matter. And that realist of me is saying, too late. Look, it's America. We got guns everywhere. You are not taking them away. It's not going to happen. No way, shape, or form. It is ingrained in our system. It is part of who we are. And there is no way in the world America would ever actually let guns be taken away. Tough luck. That ship has sailed. That train has left. That platypus has screwed the hamster. I don't know. I just made up a new saying. So we got to deal with what we have, and we got to learn to curb it, and we got to learn other ways that don't involve taking away all the guns, because it's just the realistic situation there. But no, honestly, I think that if I could take away all the guns from the citizen population, I would. And I don't care that you'll be upset because you don't get to go to the gun range, and I don't care that you'll be upset because you won't, actually, I had a conversation with my brother once. He's like, what am I supposed to do if a man comes into my house and tries to, rob me and threatens my little girls? What am I supposed to do? All right, first things first. There's a lot to that, what you just said. First things first. If you want to look at it in a hard number sense, I'm sorry, brother, I really am. But the chances of that happening to you are very, very slim. The chances that someone will rob you, break into your home, and threaten the lives of your little girls is very, very slim. On the other hand, the chance that someone will die today because of a gun that was legally obtained is not just high, it's inevitable. It will happen. Period. So if you want to look at the numbers, so many more lives would be saved by you not having a gun, by everyone not having a gun, than by you being able to protect your little girls. And that's a horrible argument to use to a father that almost no father would accept, but it's true. And, of course, there's the other ways to look at that too. Most home invaders go when you're not at home because they don't want a confrontation. They want to steal your stuff and they don't want you to be there. Most home invaders aren't trying to murder or injure you because if they get caught, they want to go to jail for a year, not life. They want to rob. They don't want to hurt, maim, or kill. So the number of times and the chances that someone's going to break into your home with the intent to hurt your little girls is really, you probably have a better chance of getting hit by lightning. Probably. And I'll even say this. Most burglars or people who break into homes, and maybe they'll carry a gun, and maybe they'll use the gun if they feel panicked. But if we didn't have guns, if we made guns incredibly difficult to get, most people who break into homes wouldn't have them. And in that case, what do you do, bro? I don't know. Use a baseball bat. Hit them in the head. Treat them like that alien from Signs. Throw some water at him and then smack him in the head with the bat. Yeah. I just realized that. I don't know why. Something about that makes it funny. Like, I liked Signs up until the end when the alien got when you find out aliens are allergic to water, and that's just so dumb. But I never stopped to think about this. They're also allergic to bats to the face, and that's pretty cool. I think that's cool. I think that's neat that they're allergic to that too. I guess that kind of just gets overshadowed by the stupid water thing. But bats to the face. He just murdered that alien with a baseball bat. Come on. That's pretty awesome. Good on you, M. Night Shyamalan. Why you'll never make a good movie after that again, I don't know. Not even sure that was a good movie. I mean, I think it was... Okay, I'll say, I think Signs was a good movie until you stop to think about it. So while you're watching it, it's good. Then you stop and you're like, The atmosphere was great. I love alien movies. That was cool. And then you're like, oh, no. So yeah, that's my unpopular view of guns. LGBT. Well, my sister is gay and very proud of it, and I love my sister to death. So I guess my stance on that is kudos to you for whoever you love or don't love or whatever. It's not my thing. It's not my issue. It's not my business to know what you do with your love life. I don't care. I don't care if you're a straight man that likes to find a woman that ties a strap on and shows you a good time. I don't care. If you're two consenting adults, you do whatever you want to do. There's some limits. I mean, cannibalism, consenting or not, maybe I'm not okay with. But, for the most part, I don't care. My sister is an amazing human being. She has a doctorate in biochem. Her wife has a doctorate in literature. They are two amazing people, and I think they're only made better by their relationship together. I can't imagine those two being with anyone else, and I will argue anyone for that fact. So, hey, I am all for it. I'm all for equal rights. I am all for equal rights for LBGT. I don't care if you're a guy who feels like a girl that wants to get a sex change, or hell, even you don't want the sex change, you just want to act and be treated like a girl. I don't care. I will act and treat you like a girl if that's what you want. Now, I may not date you simply because it would be my sexual preference, but of course that's my right. It has nothing to do with you as a person or your choices any more than it has to do with, I wouldn't date this girl because I'm not into that kind of girl. You know what I mean? But you have every right to dress, act, and feel however you want to feel. And I personally, this is where it gets a little weird, I personally will treat you however you want to be treated. I don't think you have a right to be shovey and pushy about it, though. I really don't. I think that, let's say, for example, well, let me put it this way. Let's say you're trans. Let's say you're a girl that wants to be a guy, or a guy that wants to be a girl. Okay, that's fantastic. That's great. That is your choice. Now, do please understand that this is not the norm. And I'm not saying that you aren't normal, it's because there's some stigma to that, oh, you're not normal equals bad. No, I'm saying that this is not what the majority of people do, and you need to understand that. Please, please, please don't be a dick. Don't go out and shove this on other people and be like, I'm a girl, you gotta treat me like a girl. You gotta treat me like a girl. You treat me like a girl, treat me like a girl. Treat me like a girl. Oppression. Don't be that way. Come on, you don't have to be like that. Some people won't understand you, and they should be educated, all right? Some people are downright rude to you, and they are wrong, and they have every right of what comes to them. But it's kind of like a vegetarian that goes to a restaurant that doesn't advertise serving vegetarian food and then complains that there's no vegetarian food. Don't be that guy or girl. Same thing applies for trans, gay, whatever, anything, all right? Any more than you'd want me to walk into a gay bar and be like, how come there are no straight people here? What's wrong with you? You know what I mean? You wouldn't want me to do that. So just look, I think the general rule is let's not be dicks, people. Come on, let's not be a-holes. I saw something. I was listening to something on the radio, and I know this is kind of an off-topic thing. I was listening to something on the radio where a guy was a vegan, and that's great. Hey, woo! My stepmom and father are. I think they're vegetarian. I don't think they're vegan. But anyway, they've been vegetarian for years and years and years, and that's great. Nothing wrong with that. But he called a pizza company and asked if there was any animal products in the sauce on the pizza. And the guy on the phone said, well, yeah, there's cheese. Apparently he'd gotten a pizza that had no cheese on it and no egg in the dough, which means that it was probably specialty ordered. Someone specifically asked for this. And then he called the pizza company. He was like, do you have any animal products in your sauce? And they're like, yeah, we have cheese. And he like throws the phone and gets all ballistic. Really, bro? Only in America. Who puts cheese in their sauce? Well, I know one company that does. I mean, obviously. I don't know. What? Why are you mad at him? He didn't make the pizza company, and besides, how are they supposed to know that you didn't want cheese in your sauce? I'm pretty sure you didn't tell them. Pretty sure you didn't say, oh, and please don't put any cheese in the sauce if there is any. Like, that's just, dude, why you gotta be like that? Wow, I went off in a weird direction. I just think that people have the right to be and do whatever they want. And I personally will treat you however you want. Look, okay, as silly as I think different pronouns are, and I do think it's silly because, look, we have pronouns for a reason. There's him, he, her, she, they, them. Those are there for a reason. Just like we have the word tomato to describe tomatoes. And I suppose you could make up a new name for a tomato, that's fine, but no one's going to know what you're talking about because its name is tomato. The color blue is named the color blue. It's just a descriptive term. It doesn't cast judgment on the color. It's not saying it's a good color or a bad color. It's just saying it's blue. Now, you can call it Zork if you want, but don't get confused or don't get angry if people are like, Zork? The hell is Zork? Do you mean blue? Because that's the name. Blue. So I think that pronouns are silly. Look, if you're a guy, you're he. That's not a judgment of your character. No matter how much you want it to be, because there's so many people out there that want it to be. Oh, I'm a he, and there's so many connotations and innuendos that go with that. Oh, you got nuts. That's all it means. If you're she, you got a vajayjay. That's it. It's just a designation of what's between your legs. All right. Doesn't necessarily have to be what's in your heart, and who cares? But what I'm saying is, as much as I think it's kind of silly that there's like zir and zia and all that stuff, look, if you come to me and you say, look, I'm really uncomfortable, I would feel a lot better if you called me, I don't know, Zir. You know what, dude, I'm gonna call you Zir. Why? Because it's no stress off my back. I don't care. I don't mind. And if it makes you feel comfortable, all right, cool. I'm not an a-hole. I want you to feel comfortable. I may personally think it's silly, but I'm sure there's tons of things that I do that most of the world thinks is silly, so why can't the world be more like that? I personally think using different pronouns is ridiculous, but I am not so arrogant as to think that my view of that is the same view everyone should have. And I have enough respect for people that if you come up to me and say that it seriously makes you uncomfortable that I use the pronoun he, and you request that I use the pronoun she or whatever, then I'm not going to be a dick. I'm not going to make you uncomfortable. I'm going to do what I can to make you comfortable because, I'm not an asshole. So many people in this world are assholes. But yeah. As long as you're nice about it, as long as you're not like one of those crazy social justice warriors that bursts into a library and starts yelling at people who are sitting at a table studying for an exam or something, yelling at them because they're not standing up for Black Lives Matters. Dude, whoa. I've got a test in like 6 hours. I'm all for human rights, all right? Bro, you go and you fight, and I treat you all the same, and as far as I'm concerned, I don't even notice the color. Oh, what? You want me to notice the color now? But I thought the whole point was to not notice. Well, okay, fine. Yeah, I noticed the color. Black guy. Ooh, but seriously, I have a test, and I really need to study for this. Why are you yelling at me? Why? Don't yell at me. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's ridiculous. That goes back to the don't be a dick, guys. It's just my lesson, squeeze lesson to you. Don't be a dick. Just come on. We need like one of those, like, the more you know stars. So yes, but I will say that I believe everyone has the right to do what they want, and they should not be mocked for it. And they should not be made to feel like a horrible person for it. Like I said, my sister, I know few other amazing people in the world than her and her sister. I mean, her wife. And Piff will agree with me on that. Piff has met my sister and her wife, and they consider him part of the family. So, yeah. I'll tell you this: I've been hit on by more guys than I have ever women. So, thank you for that, guys. That it actually made my day. You know, I'm not gay in any way, shape, or form. I don't find men attractive, but it doesn't matter. Being made to feel attractive is nice, no matter who makes you feel that way. You know, it was a little ooky at the time because it was like, oh, that's sweet, but I can't return your affection because not like that. Still, I mean, it made you go home feeling nice at the end of the night. Who cares if it was a guy or a girl that did it? You know what I mean? So there's that. Wow, I spent so much time on just 2 questions. There's like a whole bunch of other questions to get through that for my second video. Which, speaking of, let's try and get through them, shall we? As much as we can. Let's see here. I gotta start the audio file. Okay, so what do we got here? Oh wait. That's the wrong audio file. There we go. All right, what do we got? Samuel Calypsy. Oh, Samuel Calypsy, how do you feel about the ending of the Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared series? I have no idea what that is, so my feelings for it are tentatively excited, I guess. Next is AC Jackson 127. Oh, AC Jackson 127 asks, have you ever watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? No. I've heard stuff about it. I haven't watched it, and the only reason why I haven't watched it is because I know that it's kind of a long-running anime, but it covers a broad spectrum of timelines, so like you don't spend that much time with each individual protagonist, and you know me, I like the long anime. I like to follow a hero's journey, and you know, if you only with the hero for a short amount of time, it's like, to me, I look at JoJo's Bizarre Adventure not as one anime, but as like 4 or 5 different 12-episode animes, and you know, like I said, I have trouble getting into 12-episode animes. So there's that. What we got next? Sinnoh wants to know what my favorite pen and paper system is. Probably Rifts. But to be fair, I have not played that many pen and paper systems. I've played Dungeons & Dragons 3.5. I've played a game called Monsters and Slayers, which was made by my own father. And I've played Rifts and 13th Age. That's about it. So not a lot to choose from, honestly. Not a big selection there, so I don't know how valid my opinion is on that matter. All right, next one. Christoph 0756. Okay. Alright, will I ever bring back trivia night for Gits and Shiggles, and will Captain Science ever return? I don't know. Trivia night, maybe not. That was actually a lot of work for very little payoff. I mean, some people enjoyed it, but not a lot of people really watched it. And man, the work that had to go into trivia night. And what trivia night was, for those of you who don't know, is it was one of the things I did with TGN. Piff and I did it, where we'd play like Jeopardy every week, and people would, the chat would try and answer it. And it was a lot of work, and it really wasn't that popular. So I don't know. For Captain Science, oh God, I'm sure Kriana and I will eventually make more Captain Science because we love those characters too much. But I don't know. I don't know. I think you'll see Captain Science in some form or fashion again, because those characters are just too amazing. If we ever did Captain Science again, though, we would go back to something like Saints Row. That's the name I'm thinking of. GTA 5 is great, but it's too serious for Captain Science. You really need that zaniness that you get from Saints Row for Captain Science to work well. All right, next. Maltech. Okay, Maltech wants to know, have I ever deleted a character from a pen and paper game because they were too OP? And if so, who? No, I've never had to do that for two reasons. One, I make it very, very clear what kind of campaign we're running before we start. And let's be fair, I've only run, 3 campaigns, so, my short tenure as a GM. But first, I make it very clear what kind of campaign we're running. If we're playing Rifts, for example, and everyone's human-esque type character, I don't really want people being Cosmonites, because they're gods. They're literally or basically gods, and that's ridiculous to have a vagabond or a normal human being fighting along and adventuring with a god. That's just one of those people are not going to have fun. You know what I mean? Either and I know Inferno would somewhat disagree with that, but this is where I'm coming from, in the sense that he says a good enough GM can make it work, and that's true. But it is also harder. Me personally, I just wouldn't be comfortable with that. Now, if you all wanted to be Cosmonites, or most of you did, like if 4 people are Cosmonites, and this one person really just wants to be human and they don't care that they're weaker, hey, I'm all for it. But no, I typically make sure we're all aware, we're all on the same page. But more importantly than that, as a GM, a good trait of a GM is to know that there's not much such thing as OP, because there's always a counter for it. Is your guy, mega damage and everyone else is SDC damage, and oh my god, that makes him seem so much more powerful? Well, a good GM first knows that to be a good GM, you have to let that play out sometimes. You have to let that mega damage character feel like a badass once in a while, or more than once in a while, because that's why they chose it. You know what I mean? They have to have bullets plink off them and maybe fight a confrontation really easily because they're mega damage. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, basically just imagine normal bullets don't hurt them because they're so tough. But you also know in the back of your mind, there's ways to counter that. There's creatures that can take them on. More specifically, you can use that against them. Oh, hey, they're super powerful. That's great. Well, this super powerful person in an area that doesn't have super powerful people has now just raised a whole lot of eyebrows by, holy crap, look at what this guy can do. And now you have a whole lot of unwanted attention that's going to make your job really difficult. So I've never had to delete someone for being OP. And if I let the character exist in the first place, meaning, like I said, I have limits. If you're all playing normal humans and one person wants to be a demigod, I might be like, I don't know about that. But if I let your character exist, and I have a very wide allowance of what I will and won't let exist, I'm not going to then delete you because you became too overpowered. It's my job as a GM to make this game still be a challenge for the party, no matter how powerful you are. And more importantly, it is also my challenge as a GM to let that overpoweredness shine. What's the point of being overpowered or powerful or gaining power if it's always challenging? There's some people who like to play pen and paper games and they want every fight to be tough and you almost die, and they're not excited unless they're pushed to the limit. But most players aren't like that. Most players want to know and feel like they're getting powerful. Most players, if you've been playing for 20 hours and now you're a level 10 character and you've got these magic items and you're really super powerful now, once in a while you want to be able to feel it. You want to be able to go up against some enemies that when you were weaker, these guys would have been tough, but right now you just walk over them. Because you want that feeling of progression. You want to be able to feel like your character is a badass. And you don't get that feeling if every opponent you come up against is just as strong as you. You know what I'm saying? So as a GM, that's an even harder role sometimes, is to understand. Like, I know a lot of GMs, and I did this a lot too when I first started GMing. Now, let's say I have a character who is naturally resistant to electricity, right? I would sit there and think, okay, what kind of enemies can I come up with that'll throw them through a loop, that they don't use electricity, or they don't care about electricity, or they use these kind of bullets instead of these kind of bullets to really hurt them. You also have to remember, sometimes throw in a bad guy whose main thing is electricity. Why? Because why else did that player character choose a guy who's resistant to electricity if he never gets to use it? So think of your players. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end there for the day because I'm almost at work. I know there's a lot of questions I still haven't got to. We'll handle those another time. All right? So, everyone, until then, take care. Ta-ta, and all that. Bye-bye.